Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to season 5 and episode number 713 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Always 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Wednesday, August 13th, 2025, and it is a bit of a grayish day here at the Ottawa Beaver Lodge, although it's hot in here. It's very hot in here. It's been extremely hot over the past while. If you've lived in the area, it's pretty much hot everywhere, to be totally honest, I think. But yeah, just it's ridiculous. We were supposed to get some rain last night, and I do not think it happened, from what I can tell. So keeps on bypassing us, either just over us or just under us. Whenever there's some call for the, you know, it's pretty bad. We haven't had to mow the lawn at Beaver Lodge in well over a month because the grass is just not growing. It's just not. The garden is extremely unhappy. But yeah, but compared to other places in the country, we don't have it so bad. It's just hot. But yeah, it's pretty bad here, and we're going to get into it to track the show here. Talk about wildfires and other stuff. A big thank you goes to our podcast funding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And not with me as usual is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. We're back to regular working schedules, but hopefully we will find some ways to do a couple of shows where we can have him on, and of course have some Grizzly growls as he sends them in, so that you can get your regular dose of Grizzly. How is your mental health today, kids? Mine is pretty good. Had a good couple of days of vacation. Thank you. It was beautiful Quebec City, La Vieille Capitale, and had a wonderful time visiting some friends, and had some activities as well while I was there. So that was nice. Went to my favorite restaurant in the entire world, La Grola, which is like a Swiss fondue type place, and we basically picked out, and it's one of those places where you go and you have a meal, go and you sit like for 2.5 hours and chat as like cheese fondue comes out, and then Chinese fondue comes out. I'm not sure if they call it in English Chinese fondue, but fondue chinoise, as we say in French, and then chocolate fondue for dessert. So, yeah, we left there, pop in our stitches. Of course, there's fireworks displays as well, fireworks competition going on. It we went on the hills of the Plains of Abraham to go take a look at that. Uh, the Museum of Civilization there in Quebec has a big exhibit about the Titanic going on right now, which is absolutely fascinating. I learned a lot. And of course, there's lots of connections between that and Canada. And so we did, got a little bit of culture and education. And that evening, with co-sponsored by Juste pour Rire, Just for Laughs, the festival, there was a production of Chicago, all in French, happening at the Le Théâtre Capitole, starring Véronique Dicker, for those of us who know her. And so we went to see that. My friend had never seen it, particularly in French. So that was really nice. It was really interesting to see how the songs get translated into French and like how faithful they are to the original. And it's pretty good. I have to say, it's pretty good. I've listened because words are my life, right? And I used to do simultaneous interpretation and that type of stuff. So it's, yeah, they did a really good job with it. It isn't translated European French; it's translated Quebec French. So there's some Anglicisms thrown in there, and some street French and joual, as we say, that sort of dialect French in there. Uh, but the show, absolutely fantastic. Good singing, good dancing. Uh, all the flavor and everything of the script does nothing of it gets lost in the translation. So it was a really great night, and my friend really loved it. Left the theater singing and dancing and feeling energized. Had so much to say about the show, all that good stuff. So if you're ever there and you understand French, take it in. And then while we were there, also there was a little festival called Les Jours de la Nouvelle France. If you're going to translate that, sort of like Days of New France. So they had period people walking around in period costume, exhibits and stuff like that. Go find out about history there, and that lasted, I think, 4 days from the 7th till the 10th. And then yesterday was a travel day. The day before, we honestly did not do much because with the humidex, it was 42 degrees Celsius. Uh, I went out for a walk for a little bit and I think was out for 11 minutes and then stopped for ice cream. Came back because it was too much. Again, I look tropical. I'm not. I'm definitely a Canadian boy. I like fall. I like winter. I like spring. Summer's getting a little tricky. I have to admit, summer's going to get a little tricky to deal with. If it wasn't for tennis, summer would be very, very, very hard for this beaver. But yes, beautiful trip. Great, safe travel there. Try safe travel back. And like I said, good time with friends, good food, good activities, rest. Disconnected from the news, pretty much solid for 5 days. So the show episode here is going to be a collection of a couple of things for which I particularly don't need video clips or stuff of the like. Because here at the Ottawa Beaver Lodge, as you might know, I'm doing the show through my cell phone. I don't have the benefit of two screens to go back and forth. So unless you want to see me picking up the phone all the time and then pushing buttons to make adjustments and putting it back, which would make for a very weird show. We're gonna go about it this way. It's and comes. Would do the magic monitor today. I'm not sure if that's going to work for me, but let's see if we can give it a go and maybe see who's in the chat. Mm, no, that's not going to work right now. It might work a little later, however, as things load up here. I have my trusty laptop over here to sort of give me the second computer so that I can see notes, right? And find out what's going on because, again, same thing, using the cell phone, if I pick it up to look at the notes, it makes for a very interesting show. Yeah. All right. So, Kits and Cubs, while that is loading and I see who is here with us, uh, well, might as well get into it, right? Wildfires. They've popped up in Atlantic Canada. We had talked about them a little bit before I had left for vacation because there was some activity in Newfoundland and Labrador. The activity and the warnings and all that kind of stuff are throughout all four Atlantic provinces now. So while things are still bad in Newfoundland and Labrador, we have fire bans announced in Prince Edward Island, and there are fires now in New Brunswick and throughout Nova Scotia as well. And a lot of them have popped up and grown very, very fast, very, very quickly. So there's a lot of things to be concerned. Some of the most recent information I have, and this might not be completely up to date as of this morning, but in Newfoundland and Labrador, evacuation orders have been issued for people living in parts of Paradise, and they were told to leave immediately. The order came hours after the government had issued a regional state of emergency for some communities. Communities in Paradise, Conception Bay South, Galway, Southlands, those are all in the southern edge of the capital, St. John's. People have been told to prepare to be away for at least 3 days. With the manner in which they're raging, I suspect that will be more. Wildfire started on Tuesday and quickly spread. 4 of the 8 fires that are burning in the province are considered out of control at the moment. John Hagee, who's Newfoundland's and Labrador's Minister of Justice and Public Safety, has said that their firefighting efforts have been complemented by efforts by Premiers Ford, Legault, and Holt, and that they've also received some help from Manitoba and the state of Utah. He is quoted as saying, we think, at the moment in a situation where we have something of a handle on it, but it changes literally by the minute. Despite all the help they need to pull ground, despite of all the help they got, they have been needing to pull ground crews because of the heat and danger. According to the minister, it was an extremely dry winter, and therefore the province is a bit of a tinderbox. And there seems to be no prospect of relief at the moment coming from Mother Nature. On Monday, I believe it was, in Gander, Newfoundland, it was 42 degrees Celsius with the humidex, and that is not temperature that we come to associate with Gander. But again, it's hot pretty much everywhere. The minister is saying, of course, because where you say fire these days, you say government instructions, and then where you say government instructions, since COVID, you say people losing their minds because more freedoms. And the minister has noticed that in Newfoundland and Labrador as well. Is quoted as saying, we do have a little bit of a challenge from social media folk who do prefer their version of events than the truth, but we have recognized sources, and I would encourage citizens of the province to continue to follow those, and together we'll get through it. Quote, there are people who have subverted this exercise for their own gain. Interestingly enough, from my previous experience, it's pretty much the same list of suspects from the COVID trolls. That's the minister. Stating that, being pretty darn blunt. He's also stated that the 4 heavy lift helicopters that are in service to help fight the fire are costing about $1 million a week each. And after speaking to the province's finance minister, is confirmed that the province has had to dip into its a contingency fund, and expects pretty much to blow through it this year. There are certain areas of Conception Bay North the minister says that they cannot get into, such as the Bay de Verde Peninsula, to assess structures that have been lost. But he has said that at least 2 communities have disappeared in the smoke. Again, not be able to confirm whether or not you just can't see them because of the smoke, or whether or not they actually did burn because they can't get there to tell. Fortunately, he reports, at least as of 5 p.m. yesterday, no significant injuries and no lives lost, thanks to the good work of all the crews and, of course, the overall compliance of people of Newfoundland and Labrador who are indeed following the orders and the instructions. Thank you for doing that, because we do not want to put our search and rescue and firefighting teams at greater risk by having to go into places and help people evacuate and other things, because they did not do that first time. That's if they can get in there to help you evacuate, as Premier Susan Holt tried to make the case, made the point after other incidents of people trying to be defiant just for the sake of it. Yes, she made the point pretty clearly that there may come times that the firefighting response team may just decide that either the forest itself or nearby communities are a bigger priority. And if you are caught there, they will not come for you. So when you have to make those points that bluntly, you know there's more to it, right, than what some people might be analyzing as armchair quarterbacks, not necessarily close to the fires. So yes, very important. The minister also says that mental health supports have been made available, and that there's an enormous volunteer capacity. In fact, they have been taking donations of food and clothing and had to ask people to stop. Of course, good people of Newfoundland and Labrador, because they have nowhere to put it. People have just been that generous with their donations, particularly through the Salvation Army. So, yeah. As you know as well, because we talked a little bit about on the show, St. John's, Newfoundland is the host of the Canada Summer Games. It seems that the games are still going on. Again, volunteers in the area have been absolutely spectacular in trying to reorganize sites and locations and stuff. Volunteers showing up early in the morning, picking up the timing equipment and all that kind of stuff, and bringing it to other places and resetting it up so that the kids can actually have their competition and not be disturbed as much as possible. Lacrosse, for example, has been moved into an indoor arena from outside, but I guess that still is the size needed to be able to play. Certain sports have been postponed for the moment, hoping for better days, such as beach volleyball. There's a fire relatively near to the site, and you can see the smoke just billowing there. Sailing as well, of course, has been postponed. Soccer has been postponed as well, being outside and running that much and that hard with all that smoke. Don't want to have all that particulate in your lungs. I know personally, a couple of summers ago, having made the unwise decision one day to go play tennis on a day that was a little smoky, but I figured out that night, being on my knees praying to the porcelain gods, I was very, very, very sick. So, so I learned not to do that again. So understandable that soccer has been postponed for now. They are looking for other venues for some of the other sports, but it seems that at the moment things are still going on as close to as scheduled as possible. And, hopefully the athletes that are there, who have put a lot of work into their training and all that kind of stuff, are having as normal an experience as can be hoped for considering the circumstances. But it's if they're not, it's definitely not through a lack of volunteers and goodwill from the community in order to make sure that that could still happen. So congratulations to the good people of Newfoundland and Labrador who are not only tackling the fire itself, along with some help, of course, but are also, um, you know, just showing up and answering the call in terms of volunteering and donations and making sure that the community is there to support all of it. It's a great example of, but it's what we come to expect from the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, right? It's just what we come to expect. It's what we come to expect from Canadians, to be totally honest. It seems to be a Canadian thing, but Newfoundland and Labrador, you know, the big joke there is that, you know, I remember that this hour's 22 minutes skit where there's this guy, he's ended up camping in the backyard. People from Newfoundland and Labrador who just won't let him leave because, oh, no, we'll drive you there. We'll pick that up for you. We'll make that for you. Don't worry. Just relax, put your feet up. Noted hospitality and wanting to help. That's definitely on display here. And it's nice to see the community pull together. In New Brunswick, as of yesterday, latest reports, there are 2 wildfires burning out of control in the province. One of them is near the Moncton area, and the other one is in the Miramichi area. Here, sorry, kids and cubs. I'm just trying to lower my notes here so that I can on the screen. There we go. So yes, one out of control near the city of Moncton, and the other is north of Miramichi. The latter one is estimated to be, at least as of about 5 p.m. yesterday, 1,120 hectares in size, and has been judged to have tripled in size over the 24-hour period preceding it. So again, quickly started and grows very, very rapidly. These are no joke. The conditions are so dry. When you have ministers saying that it's a tinderbox, they're not saying this for exaggeration or for effect. It literally is a tinderbox. It does not take much. As you know, kids and cubs, by the way, I hadn't mentioned it, but you know, the Thursday show had to be canceled here as well because there was an issue on my balcony of something smoldering, and happy to report that it did indeed handle it all correctly when I got back to the Ottawa Beaver Lodge for my vacation yesterday. Everything was as I had left it. So my very, 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 very amateur home firefighting skills were successful. But yes, you have to be very careful. Like I said, nobody's doing this, making these announcements for fun. When a fire goes from non-existing to being 1,120 hectares that quickly, conditions are bone dry. You don't mess around with this. Adam Lorden, who is the mayor of Miramichi, appeared on Power and Politics yesterday to give more details. He says that the Miramichi area fire is about 15 kilometers away from the city as of about 5 p.m. yesterday, but has grown substantively in size, as we had mentioned. It is, as of, again, yesterday, about 5 o'clock, contained, and he made very sure to say, for now, and is strategically being directed to grow in the northwest direction, so away from the city. There has been no need yet for evacuations, but the weather forecast over the next day or two is not showing anything favorable to firefighting efforts. Quote, "The last thing our province needs is even more fires being started that would pull resources away from the one here close to our community and the one in Irishtown close to Moncton. We want to ask citizens in our city and across our province to do our part in following these restrictions so that we can empower the men and women on the ground who are doing everything they can to deal with these fires, to have all of the resources at their disposal that they possibly can. So again, asking for community cooperation here. He states that the Miramichi area was the hottest part in the country on Monday, with temperatures of 37 degrees Celsius before the humidex came into effect. That cooling center has been put in place, and one of the local arenas has been offered up as a coordinating site for aid and assistance, as well as lodging for firefighters. Over 60 firefighters from around the province, other provinces, and the state of Maine are on the ground giving some help for that. And the province is asking people to have evacuation supplies on hand in case they need to go that route, but that has not been the case as of yet. And again, as we mentioned earlier, Premier Holt also making the case here that this is a very dangerous situation, and particularly in New Brunswick, don't wait for things. Don't violate the rules, because the teams may have to decide that they can't go and rescue you. And again, to have that evacuation bag ready, medications, very important documents, some bottled water, a couple days supply of food, if you can do that. All that stuff. Have it ready to go. You do not want to be looking for these when the evacuation order comes, because sometimes the turnaround time is very quickly. So have that already packed and by the door, ready to go. Make sure that you do your fire drills as well, and all that kind of stuff. If you have opportunity, like I said, whatever clothes you could need, you might need a blanket or something. But yeah, if you've got kids, one or two of their favorite toys, you might want to have those for distraction once you get where you're going. But yes, have your bag ready to go, but do make sure that important documents and medications at least, and again, a couple days supply of water and food are in there, and that you're ready to go. They're always asking you to prepare for at least 2 or 3 days, but we know that in many cases people are gone for much longer. Uh, I would advise to prepare at least a week. And of course, there might be other types of supports and funding and whatnot being announced in the coming days for people who have to be displaced. Often provinces and the federal government or something like that will offer opportunities to have some direct funding to help cover supplies and lodging and that type of stuff while evacuations are in order. I haven't heard yet if any of those have been announced for the Atlantic Canada region, but usually when there are evacuations, those things tend to follow. So I'll keep my eyes and ears open for that and bring that type of information to you, kids and cubs, if I do see it. In Prince Edward Island, kids and cubs, there have, not sure that there are any firefighters at the moment there, but there have been there's a fire ban that's been issued there, because they don't want things to happen. According to Thing Nguyen of CBC News, it says the Charlottetown Fire Department warns of summer mulch fire risk after a recent blaze. So that might have been what happened in my planters, because there definitely is some mulch here. It says, given the recent hot and dry weather, the Charlottetown Fire Department is urging islanders to take precautions when using mulch, which can pose a serious risk to buildings if it ignites. Deputy Chief Kent Mitchell said the department recently responded to a mulch fire in the Sherwood neighborhood of the city. The fire, which Mitchell said was likely caused by discarded cigarette, grew large enough to damage a nearby building and caused smoke damage inside. Quote, mulch fires are always a concern this time of year. Mitchell said it's important that people keep mulch at least 45 centimeters away from any building and ensure it's spread out in a layer that's no deeper than 7 centimeters. If it is thicker than that, it can self-heat and ignite with the help of an ignition source, he said. He added that people may want to consider non-combustible ground cover alternatives such as pea gravel and other types of stone. And these may be things we need to consider, not only temporarily, but maybe as permanent changes in the way we do landscaping and stuff like that around our homes. Less flammable, because these wildfires do appear to be the new normal, unfortunately. Cigarettes are a leading cause of mulch fires, Mitchell said, and people should be especially careful when discarding them, he noted. Improperly discarded cigarette butts are a frequent issue near places like fast food restaurants and drive-thrus, and not only improperly discarded, but not fully extinguished cigarette butts. Sometimes I know that if there is dirt around, people take their cigarette butts and just sort of crush them in dirt and thinking that the moisture from the dirt and whatnot is enough. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not. So they have to be completely extinguished and properly discarded. Quote, anywhere there's mulch, if someone puts a discarded cigarette there, it's likely going to ignite at some point. Mitchell said it's crucial for buildings to be equipped with working smoke alarms, fire alarm systems, or sprinkler systems. A fire that starts in mulch can go unnoticed and quickly spread to adjacent building materials like wood or vinyl siding. From there, the fire can rapidly travel to the attic of a home, he said, and people inside might not notice it until it's too late. And that's the thing that I noticed on my balcony, too. If it wasn't for the pigeons that were on the balcony that were making a lot of noise and I was opening the window to shoot them, I never actually would have noticed the smoke because I was inside. And the blinds were drawn for bedtime to keep the light out. So I never would, and I usually keep the blinds drawn to make sure that the sun isn't reflecting here. So yeah, I would not have noticed, and that's about what was happening here. Something had ignited, and it was just slowly burning, and just smoke coming up. So yeah, have to be very, very careful there. The seriousness of even one mulch fire can be really catastrophic, he said. Mitchell pointed to an apartment building fire on Harley Street in 2019, which was caused by mulch on the property igniting and led to the building being deemed a total loss. While the department has responded to as many as 20 mulch fires in a single year in the past, Mitchell said the number have gone down recently. He attributes the decline to increased public awareness. Again, good on you, Islanders. Way to go. Quote, even though our numbers seem to have dropped a little bit this year, there's still more mulch fires than we'd like to see, and we really want to see zero. So please be careful there. Also in Prince Edward Island, as we had mentioned here, no campfires or bonfires allowed as fire ban takes effect across the island. All open fires, including campfires and bonfires, are now banned across Prince Edward Island as drought-like conditions raise the risk of wildfire across the province and much of Atlantic Canada. In a news release Monday, the provincial government said Environment, Energy and Climate Action Minister Gilles Arsenault had issued the order banning all outdoor burning on a private property at provincial parks and campgrounds. Quote, with forest fires burning in other provinces and the hot, dry weather continuing in PEI, we need to take every possible step to keep residents and our forests safe, Arsenault was quoted as saying in the news release. Just 2 days earlier, Parks Canada said a fire ban would be imposed at all Prince Edward Island National Park sites effective Sunday to reduce wildfire risk during the current dry spell. Domestic brush burning remains prohibited. Existing permits for industrial and agricultural burns are now revoked regardless of weather conditions, the release said. Charcoal and propane barbecues are still allowed, but officials urge people lighting them to use caution. That includes ensuring used briquettes are fully extinguished and disposed of safely. Again, very important. Violations under the Forest Fire Prevention Act can lead to fines of up to $50,000 plus victims of crime surcharges. Anyone found responsible for causing a fire may also be liable for all resulting damages. So they're not kidding around here, Prince Edward Island. Quote, they can be very steep fines, and we're certainly not looking to fine people, but we're looking for people to comply. We're trying to keep people safe, said Mike Montigny, manager of field services with PEI's Forest, Fish and Wildlife Division. Montigny said a large percentage of the island's forest areas is not provincial crown land but privately owned. That means the province has less control over the type of activity that takes place. Quote, "It's tricky because we really try hard to incentivize people to do the right things," he said, including making sure private owners know about provincial programs designed to lessen the risk of wildfires breaking out or spreading fast when they do break out. Quote, "We try to encourage people to think about these things ahead of time," he said. "People's private land, we try hard not to overstep." He said the province is not considering a ban on all activity in wooded areas like those in place in neighboring provinces, but added that a ban could be needed down the road. So please keep your eyes and ears peeled for those in case the situation changes. Nova Scotia has restricted hiking and camping and fishing and all-terrain vehicle use in wooded areas. New Brunswick has also banned public access to Crown land, prohibiting camping, fishing, hiking, driving into the woods, and using trail systems. Quote, "This is where we are, and if anything changes, there's a feeling that we want to go that way, we will go that way," Montigny said. He added that the last time PEI had a full fire ban was in 2023 when Nova Scotia was experiencing wildfires. Unlike the situation in Western Canada, where lightning can ignite a tinder dry forest, he said that 99.9% of fires on the island are caused by human accidents. The cities of Charlottetown and Summerside are also encouraging people to take fire safety seriously. Tanner Doiron, the acting director of communications for the city of Summerside, said the city has been taking proactive measures over the past week. Quote, "Our fire services, police services, and communications departments joined forces and issued kind of targeted wildfire prevention initiatives," he said. It included a kind of proactive sweep of several key green spaces within our city limits, and that would include parks like the Rotary Friendship Park and Heather Moyes Park. Doiron said they chose larger spaces where potential fire hazards could be identified, such as encampments and other public safety risks. Meanwhile, Charlottetown officials have said outdoor fires are banned in the city and all existing 2025 city burning permits are suspended until further notice. A seasonal water restriction is also in place. You can't hose down hard surfaces, including sidewalks and driveways, while the restrictions are in effect, but you can water gardens and lawns from 5 to 10 a.m. and from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. The city listed some recommendations to keep Charlottetown residents and property safe, such as following safe barbecue practices, including keeping barbecues at least 3 meters from any building and not leaving them unattended while they're ignited, ensuring all smoking materials are properly disposed of, including not throwing butts into wood chip mulch at home or at commercial facilities, including drive-through restaurants, and ensuring that wooden mulch is at least 45 centimeters away from any building and keeping it moist when used or around any structure. In the event of an outdoor fire, the residents have been told to call 911. If they have concerns about wood debris and other potential fire hazards, they can call the Charlottetown Fire Department's non-emergency line at 902-629-4083. Again, the Charlottetown Fire Department's non-emergency line at 902-629-4083 if you have some concerns about wood debris or other potential fire hazards. Like most of the Maritimes, Prince Edward Island is under a heat warning that's expected to last through Wednesday, with humidity temperatures could reach 31 degrees Celsius but feel as high as 39 degrees Celsius. The province is encouraging islanders to take steps to protect their homes from wildfire risk by following fire-smart guidelines such as clearing vegetation close to buildings and keeping gutters free of debris. So there we have that information happening there. And please, again, do be careful. Finally, I believe we get to Nova Scotia. And that's where a lot of the news has been from Newfoundland. A lot of news has been from Nova Scotia, particularly because of one Yahoo who decided he was going to defy for the sake of defying. We'll get into that here. In Nova Scotia, there are restrictions on trail use that have been announced. And this is, of course, again, according to CBC News. As Nova Scotia trails were suddenly shut down late Tuesday afternoon, the move left some residents and visitors scrambling to find alternatives. On Tuesday, the province announced it was banning hiking, camping, fishing, and use of vehicles such as ATVs in the woods due to an elevated wildfire risk. Nova Scotia has seen limited rain recently and no significant rainfall in the forecast for coming days. Grand Prairie resident Orion Lytle Wilson says he understands the need to mitigate the serious wildfire risk, but he believes the province should have given people more notice of the changes and thought the rules through more carefully. Quote, "It was sudden, it's broad, and it's vague," he said. "I think that it could have been communicated a lot better, like what is permissible. It's been pretty frustrating to just have that kind of handed down yesterday and then try to scramble." Lytle Wilson commutes by bicycle to his two workplaces in Wolfville and Centerville, using the Harvest Moon Trail, using the Harvest Moon Trail. With the trail off limits, his options are much less appealing and feasible, he said. "There's no public transportation that goes to Centerville, and the bus schedule to Wolfville is sporadic," he said. Lytle Wilson says he could borrow a car, but he feels that that is counterproductive as car usage contributes to climate change, and climate change contributes to wildfire risks. There are other bicycle routes to his destination, but Lytle Wilson says they all involve riding on roads that don't have shoulders, are poorly designed for cyclists, and don't feel safe. Quote, "I think that they didn't consider cyclist commuters with this ban," he said. "Like cyclists, you're not burning fossil fuels. You're not going to be throwing cigarette butts off your bike like cars do." We would hope that, but maybe things are different there. But in the city, I have seen people ride their bikes while smoking cigarettes. Lytle Wilson said he has applied for a permit from the Department of Natural Resources to allow him to use the trail, but hasn't yet received a response. Morgan McDonald owns a Samore Adventure Depot, a camping gear business in Antigonish, and manages Nova Scotia Overlanding, a Facebook group with more than 7,000 members. Overlanding is a type of camping that involves using vehicles, often specially modified vehicles, that allow the driver to travel to remote locations. McDonald said he's been seeing and hearing both disappointment and understanding from people who had planned trips to Nova Scotia or locals who wanted to go camping in the woods. He said he met one person at his shop on Tuesday who had planned to travel toward Canso, along the coastline to Halifax and then onto the South Shore, but after learning of the ban, he was trying to decide what to do. Quote, "Booking at campgrounds is still an option, but of course most campgrounds are full," McDonald told CBC Radio's Information Morning Nova Scotia. And of course, with the extra amount of people that they will be receiving based on the lack of off-grid camping available, finding those accommodation spots will be a little more difficult. McDonald said as a business owner, he's worried about the impact of hot, dry summers and the potential for more bans. Quote, "There's a lot of tourism revenue generated based on people traveling to Nova Scotia, local people staying within the province and exploring our backyard, basically, and this really affects the outfitters, the guides, the gear retailers such as ourselves." Indeed, there are very, very real impacts. And of course, as you notice here, kids and cubs, different parts of the country have different lifestyles and different systems and different ways of getting around. Now, here, if I'm in Ottawa or in Kingston, I'm not necessarily thinking of going through the woods and taking these types of trails in order to commute to work. And again, you want to make sure that the roads that you are driving on are safe. And if you are in a more rural area, yes, there are less paved shoulders and bicycle lanes that are dedicated and all those kinds of things. So again, right, what we experience in cities is not the same thing as we experience in the rural countryside. So it's easy for us to sometimes go like, just follow the rules. But yes, just follow the rules. It is fire. It's life and death. But there are actual real concerns and inconveniences beyond more freedoms. So we always have to have a bit of a sympathetic ear. And yes, there are situations where these rules, when they are used as a blunt tool, can have some unintended consequences, such as is in this particular case. But then again, right, the number one important thing is to make sure that everybody stays in one piece. Right. So yes, there can be, and there might not be enough time to consider every particular good case for an exception in this instance. But yes, realities are different, and we shouldn't always necessarily be so quick to judge from where it is we sit in our space of the country here. After the province's announcement, municipalities had to act swiftly to figure out which trails in their areas would be open or closed, as they did not receive advance notice of the plan to implement the ban. Christine Blair, the mayor of the municipality of Colchester, said staff immediately began working to make those determinations and communicate with residents. Quote, "It wouldn't have hurt to have had a little more than immediate response, or to have had that discussed with municipalities in advance, and that would have been nice too," Blair said, "but it happened, and when it happened, we dealt with it." She said some residents had questions about what was and was not permitted. Quote, "There's a bit of confusion with the public, so we've had some calls. Is this trail closed? Is that trail closed?" That type of thing. Laura Dexter walks her dog in Dartmouth's Shoeby Park. She said she's had to tell tourists why the trails are closed. Quote, "They didn't understand why the pylons were there because there's no sign about it being because of the fires," said Dexter. She said visitors aren't as aware as residents because they aren't in the habit of checking government social media accounts or websites. Quote, "People are a little confused," she said. "They really should have more signage." Although the restrictions were a surprise, Blair said she supports the province's decision. "Even though there's no smoking on our trails, we do see cigarette butts on occasion," she said. "So we want to be as safe as we possibly can. Wildfires are not something that we want." And that's another consideration here, kids and cubs, as well. As we look at our governments who are making these orders, and some of the orders come down fast, with not a lot of lead time, and not proper signage, not proper communication. These are all things that we should note, because whenever we have these incidents, there should be post-mortem activities where we go through that and determine how we do better next time. And of course, it looks like in this case that there might need to be more defined strategies and protocols when it comes to things like this, especially if they have to be announced suddenly. On our side as residents, though, we need to understand that sometimes wildfires just spark up and grow really, really rapidly, and the province doesn't necessarily have the luxury of the lead time to get signage up and to decide which trail versus not which trail and that type of stuff. So, there's a bit of give and take there. There's a dance. But yes, these are indeed very real concerns. And they are definitely things that would make the efforts more effective. And hopefully, once the wildfire season this year has passed, well, I have some company on the balcony. Polyev, the pigeon, has just decided to come and watch me do the show live. ah, but yes, we do indeed, kids and cubs, need to do those exercises to make sure that response is much more effective and smooth, and the systems of communication, not only for locals but for tourists, are clear as possible. So there might be a lot to learn from this situation to help improve response in future years. Let's see what else. That's okay. That's about it here. I'm going to be taking a look at some of the issues, the orders for New Brunswick as well, before coming back to Nova Scotia, because there's been some big developments there. In the case of New Brunswick, there's no fishing, camping, hiking, driving into the woods, or using the trail systems. Camping is only allowed on campgrounds. The government has also requested private landowners to comply with the restrictions. The restrictions come as the province battles 10 active fires, with 2 major ones near Miramichi and Canterbury, while suffering from extremely dry conditions, a complete burn ban, and heat warnings in several regions. Conditions near the Fredericton area. Conditions that we are experiencing today are quite different from normal, said Justin McGuigan, Fredericton's emergency measures specialist. The city has closed all trails at Odell Park and Killarney Lake Park. The beach and lake at Killarney Lake remain open, along with trails in all other parts of the city, he said. Only the trails that go through the heavy wooded areas that are closed. Fredericton has also activated a citywide fire ban, which applies to the Hart Island RV Resort. The city has excluded barbecues or natural gas propane fire pits from the ban. And I'm just going to go here and say, okay, that's something that's posted August 10th, so a couple of days old already. So there might be a check with your local communities to make sure that these are still up to date. In St. John, the city announced Sunday afternoon that it will be closing all walking and biking trails at Rockwood Park, Tucker Park, and Little River Reservoir, effective at 12:01 a.m. Monday, August 11th. Quote, "We understand that this may not be the news some residents want to hear, and we realize it is the height of enjoying summer activities and being outdoors. It only takes the smallest of sparks to start a fire, so let's all work together to protect this vital infrastructure." The city also said it would work closely with frontline agencies to keep encampment residents safe. Moncton had updated its restrictions on Monday, but there's no information on the article about that. So again, if you're in Moncton, you might want to check to make sure that you're up to date. In Bathurst, the following issues have been issued. There's a prohibition of hiking, biking, camping, fishing, and vehicle use on all Crown land. Camping is allowed with permits only in campgrounds. The municipality asks private business and landowners to also comply by taking precautionary measures. The municipality of Miramichi has closed the trail systems at Millbank Nature Trails, Morrison Cove Trails, and the French Fork Cove, including the Cove zip line and boat rentals. Use of recreational vehicles on city-owned trails is not allowed. The city has also requested private landowners to prohibit recreational activities in wooded areas. In Edmundston, the city has echoed the province's orders by asking public not to throw cigarette butts on the ground, avoid setting off fireworks, not make any fires, including the ones in fire pits, and avoid entering any forested or wooded areas. In Kuchibuguak National Park, all trails are closed. All backcountry camping and access to all backcountry and forested areas is also closed. Visitor centers, front country camping, day use areas, and beaches, lagoons, rivers, and water-based activities remain open. A full fire ban is in effect. No open fires are permitted. This includes campfires and charcoal barbecues. Fire in kitchens, shelter stoves is also prohibited. Propane gas camp stoves and lanterns are permitted but should be used with caution. While smoking is not prohibited, smokers must dispose of their cigarette butts properly in an appropriate bin. In Fundy National Park, all trails, backcountry camping, and forested areas across the park remain closed. Front country camping is permitted, and access to lakes, water-based activities, day-use areas, and visitor centers is open. All roads at the park are closed except the Herring Cove Road, Point Wolf Road, and Highway 114. Parking on the shoulder is not allowed at Highway 114. A fire ban is in effect throughout the park, which prohibits charcoal barbecues and igniting of sheltered kitchen stoves. Use of propane gas stoves and lanterns is allowed with caution. Smoking is not prohibited, and the public is urged to dispose of cigarette butts in appropriate bins. On the Fundy footpath, that is closed to hikers. Gary Hislop with the Fundy Hiking Trail Association said he was at the Fundy footpath last week from some maintenance work. Quote, "It was extremely dry," he said. "It was drier than I have ever seen it before. Even the river levels, like the brooks and so on, are the lowest I've ever seen." He said the ground felt dry and dusty, which is unusual for a coastal trail. Quote, "We would need a number of days of wet weather," he said. Hislop encouraged trail users not to put themselves in danger and comply with provincial restrictions. So that's what I've got here for that area. Now, with regard to Nova Scotia in particular, there is a certain amount of fires, and the one that seems to be getting a lot of attention at the moment is one that is called the Bears Lake Wildfire, because, well, it's in Halifax, which is, of course, a major metropolitan area, and lots of businesses and people and things to protect. Of course, where you have a lot of people living, there's lots of explosives and things like as well that can make the situation worse. But an emergency alert has been issued and businesses have been evacuated as crews battle a wildfire in the Bears Lake area of Halifax. Halifax Regional Fire and Emergency Chief Dave Meldrum says the fire, which started around 2:30 p.m. Tuesday, is burning in the woods behind a building on Julius Boulevard and Duggar McNeil Drive. And this information I'm bringing to you. Whoops. Hold on. There we go. Apologize for that, kids. There was some in that unrequested sound coming from an autoplay ad. And, So I didn't want to get dinged for the copyright there. So I turned the cough button on for a little bit while I turn that down. But yes, this news here about the Bears Lake wildfire that I'm bringing you to give you credit. Your credit is from Andrea Jarrett of CTV News. As of 8:15 p.m. yesterday, the fire was estimated at about 25 to 30 hectares in size. The Department of Natural Resources is on scene along with 30 Halifax firefighters and 1 DNR helicopter. The province says that two 802 planes from New Brunswick flew in to drop retardant on the wildfire and returned home. Two Canadair CL-415s have also been called in from New Brunswick to drop water on the fire. Quote, "Because it's so hot, it doesn't seem like water," said Shanka Allen, who lives near the wildfire. "It is pretty scary." And like I said, the province issued an emergency alert that's the Nova Scotia Department of Emergency Management. Says wildfire in Suzy Lake Crescent area of Bears Lake. Evacuation of Bears Lake Community Outpatient Center has begun. Multiple road closures. Drivers advised to stay clear of area. And that was an emergency alert that was issued on August 12th. And that was at 4:30 p.m. It was issued, urging people to avoid in the area. Halifax Regional Police says businesses from Halifax Regional Police says businesses from 225 Chain Lake Drive to Julius Boulevard have been evacuated. The Bears Lake Community Outpatient Center, which offers medical services and clinics, has also been evacuated. The center says all remaining appointments were canceled on Tuesday. No residences had been evacuated as of 6 p.m. on Tuesday. There are also some road closures. Lacewood Drive into Bears Lake is closed. Washmill Lake Road into Bears Lake is also closed. Around 7:30 p.m., police released the following roads would remain closed overnight Tuesday, so they might still be closed this morning. Chain Lake Drive between the Highway 102 off-ramp at Julius Boulevard, the inbound lane only. Julius Boulevard itself. Suzy Lake Crescent between Julius Boulevard and Hobson's Lake Drive. Police are asking people to avoid the Bears Lake area until further notice. Quote, "Lessening the traffic congestion will help crews respond to the fire and allow those evacuating to leave safely," said police in a news release. Bears Lake is a busy industrial park and shopping destination located roughly 10 kilometers west of downtown Halifax. The province had a second emergency alert around 6:30 p.m. urging people not to fly drones near the wildfire. Apparently people need to be told that this is not an opportunity to gain really cool visuals for your social media sites. Water bombs and planes dispersing retardant on the fire. It's probably not a good idea to put drones up in the sky that could interfere with that. Please try to think of people other than yourself. Thank you very much. Quote, "Operation of a drone within 9.3 kilometers of the Suzy Lake wildfire will impede firefighting operations," warned the alert. "You could be subject to a fine and or jail time." The province says firefighting aircraft must be grounded and crews must suspend operations when an unauthorized drone is present, which could put lives at risk. There are some drones that are being used and that can be used to help with fighting firefighters. But usually that would be the firefighting team and the response team that are using those and then taking the data that they get to help coordinate action. But private citizens should not be putting drones in the sky at any time, anywhere near a fire. Okay? Hey, the province says, the province says firefighting aircraft must be grounded and crews must suspend operations when an authorized drone is present, which could put lives at risk. The cause of the fire has not been released, but Allen says this is why the province is asking people not to burn any fires and stay out of the woods. Quote, "Keep up with the fire ban. I don't know what started this, and I hope it wasn't started by someone, but this is why they've been advising us to stay away from the woods, because when something like this happens, then everyone suffers the consequences," said Allen. Stay away from the woods, people. Nova Scotia has implemented a province-wide ban on open fires and entering the woods. The fine for violating either ban is $25,000. There are some updates this morning with regard to that. If I'm looking here at CBC, and Julie Patil has stated here that there's some progress that is being made. Nova Scotia's Department of Natural Resources said progress has been made on a wildfire that began in Halifax's Bear Lakes Business Park Tuesday afternoon, but is still considered out of control. In an update at 8:27 p.m., Department of Natural Resources estimated the fire located in the wooded area behind Julius Boulevard and Douglas McNeil Drive behind the Kent Building Supply Store to be between 25 and 30 hectares. 12 DNR firefighters were at the site overnight on Tuesday. The update said 1 DNR helicopter is dropping water and 3 planes that were sent in from New Brunswick to help were returning home but could come back if needed. An update at 9:40 p.m. at 9:40 p.m. Atlantic time at Halifax Regional Municipality. It was said that most Halifax Regional Fire and Emergency firefighters have departed the scene and are expected to come back Wednesday morning, quote, to assess the state of the fire and resume firefighting efforts as needed. 2 engines and crews will remain in the area or did remain in the area overnight to support the efforts. Residents are being asked to avoid unnecessary travel to the area, quote, until advised otherwise, as reducing traffic congestion will help emergency crews respond to the fire. Let's see, what else do we have? Halifax Fire had 13 trucks at the scene, about 10 kilometers west of downtown Halifax. 4 air tankers from New Brunswick arrived and actively dropped water on the fire. All businesses between Kent Building Supplies and Julius Boulevard were evacuated. Other businesses in the area told CBC News they were asked to evacuate as well. And then the overnight street closures that I mentioned already are mentioned. Environment Canada and Nova Scotia's Department of Health and Wellness issued a special air quality statement on Tuesday afternoon, saying smoke from the Bears Lake fire was reducing air quality in the Metro Halifax and Western Halifax County areas. People aged 65 and older, pregnant people, infants and young children, people with an existing illness or chronic health condition, and people who work outdoors are considered higher risk and should avoid strenuous activities outdoors and seek medical attention if experiencing symptoms. Quote, as smoke levels increase, health risks increase. Limit time outdoors. Consider reducing or rescheduling outdoor sports activities and events. You may experience mild and common symptoms such as eye, nose, and throat irritation, headaches, or a mild cough. More serious but less common symptoms, including wheezing, chest pains, or severe cough, could be present. The statement recommended people keep doors and windows closed when indoors. When there is an extreme heat event occurring with poor air quality, prioritize keeping cool, the statement said. Veronica McIsaac was out for lunch at Jack Astor's in Bears Lake when a friend spotted the smoke. Quote, behind the site of Bears Lake, where the giant tiger would be, there was just this big cloud of smoke and it was very quickly spreading through the restaurant. And people were quickly paying their bills and trying to get out of there. McIsaac said one of the staff at the restaurant drove out to see what was happening and noted some areas were being evacuated and roads were closing. Quote, we got in an Uber and tried to get out of there, but traffic was already starting to get pretty congested. Smoke from the fire could be seen across Halifax on Tuesday afternoon. So that's what I have there with regard to Bears Lake. Now, even though the province of Nova Scotia has indeed banned has banned hiking, camping, and fishing, and use of vehicles such as ATVs in the woods due to an elevated wildfire risk. And those bans are in place for on provincial crown land until October 15th or until weather conditions improve. And the fine for violating the ban is $25,000. Some people decided that they were going to make this their personal cause. Now, Premier Tim Houston had mentioned at a news conference that these are proactive measures and that they're a small price to pay to avoid devastation like the one the province saw in 2023 when wildfires destroyed more than 200 homes. Quote, I'm losing sleep about what's happening, Houston said, pointing to the more than 700 active wildfires burning across Canada and stretched firefighting resources. He said the government has received briefings indicating that there's no significant rainfall forecast for the near term. Landowners are being encouraged to voluntarily follow the same restrictions on their private land to minimize the risk of wildfires, while landowners will not face a fine for activities such as hiking in their own woods. Any guest of theirs who was found violating the ban could be fined. Parks Canada also announced several closures. All trails in Cape Breton Highlands National Park, all trails at Fortress of Louisbourg National Historic Site, Grassy Island, including boat service to and from the island, all forested areas, barrens, and backcountry in Cape Breton Highlands National Park, including undesignated backcountry camping, designated backcountry camping at Fishing Cove, all trails in Kejimkujik National Park, apologize for that, and National Historic Site, backcountry camping at Kejimkujik National Park and National Historic Site, all trails at Kejimkujik National Park Seaside, York Redoubt and National Historic Site, Fort McNabb National Historic Site, and Melançon Settlement National Historic Site, or Melançon, depending how you pronounce it. However, front country camping, beaches, and day use areas, including Jake's Landing, equipment rentals, Kejimkujik, and Cape Breton Highlands National Parks, will remain open. The highway that makes up the Cabot Trail remains open as well. A full fire ban is also in place at national parks, national historic sites, including the Halifax Citadel, George Island, Fort Anne, Fort Royal, Grand Pre, Fort Edward, Beaubassin, Fort Lawrence, and the Fortress of Louisbourg will remain open. Overnight accommodations and camping at Fortress of Louisbourg National Historic Site remain open. Travel and activity in the woods were also banned in May 2023 while the province battled two major wildfires that destroyed hundreds of homes. The restrictions were initially put in place for about 4 weeks or until conditions allowed them to be lifted. The restrictions were lifted after about a week. Bans were also implemented in 2016 and 2001 due to fires and dry conditions. This is not new for this region, but as we will get into later on the show, some people are acting like this is a new thing that's never been done before, that all of a sudden there's some new form of tyranny being imposed. The Halifax municipality has put restrictions on its park spaces. In a news release Tuesday, the city said it was closing parks that are completely wooded. It said non-wooded areas like green spaces, playgrounds, sports fields, and ball diamonds will remain open for use. In parks that have both woods and non-woods areas, the woods are closed and the non-wooded areas remain open. Supervised beaches and municipal parks will remain open. The main trail of Point Pleasant Park will remain open while secondary trails will be closed, a city spokesperson said in an email to CBC News. City crews are in the process of putting up signs at impacted spaces, though this could take several days. Quote, regardless of the presence of signage, residents are required to adhere to these restrictions, the municipality said in the release. The new provincial rules extend to the forestry and mining sectors where companies will have to get permits and largely work at night in order to minimize the risk. Quote, this situation sucks, Houston acknowledged. But he said, quote, we must do everything possible to protect each other. In an interview with CBC Radio's Main Street, Nova Scotia on Tuesday, the manager of forest protection for Nova Scotia's Department of Natural Resources said it's important for people to be sensible and follow restrictions. Quote, if they're unsure whether the activity they'd like to do is permitted or not, again, we're working on providing as much clarity as we can and we'll continue that in the next coming days. But if they're unsure, best practice is not to do it, Scott Tingley said. Tingley said now is the time to exercise caution. Quote, we just need to get through this stretch together and not have any fires. The executive director of All-Terrain Vehicle Association of Nova Scotia said so far feedback from members has primarily been in favor of being safe. Barry Barnett said ATV events planned for the next month can be rescheduled. Quote, there are rallies and jamborees, that kind of stuff, he said. They're all things that can occur later in the year. Last week, a ban on open fires was also put in place across the province. It will be in effect until October 15th or when conditions improve. At the news conference, Natural Resources Minister Tony Rushton said that there have been about 100 small wildfires in Nova Scotia so far this season that were extinguished quickly, but that could change in a heartbeat, Rushton said. So, even though people have been told very clearly to stay out of the fire, one particular person, and I'm sure you've heard of him by now, has decided that he was going to make a case of it. Certain gentleman whose name we will not mention because the attention-seeking loudmouths get enough press as is. But this man deliberately violated the restriction so that he could challenge it in court. because as teams from all over all provinces and even the states and sometimes other countries are rushing here, running towards the fire to help put it out, while the good people of these provinces are donating food and clothing to make sure that those who have to evacuate have as comfortable a time as possible in a very unpleasant and frightening situation. Some people out there think that these are opportunities to prove a point, which is dumb, 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 dumb. But it takes all kinds to make a world. These are the people for whom we have to put instructions on pizza boxes that say, don't eat the box, or open the box before eating pizza. But they do what they do, so unfortunately, we have to talk about them. So here, according again to CBC's Ali Thompson, and I'm doing CBC because this person, of course, got lots of attention from the usual suspects, like the National Post and the Sun Chain and all that kind of stuff. But a Nova Scotia man has been slapped with a fine worth more than $28,000 after deliberately violating the province's ban on woods travel, a move he says was necessary to challenge the provincial proclamation in court. Because he personally determined it was necessary. In an effort to prevent wildfires in the midst of a drought, the Nova Scotia government has imposed a ban on anyone entering the woods, including hiking, fishing, and camping, until October 15th or until conditions improve. There's also a ban on open fires. The fine for violating the proclamation of the Forest Act is $25,000, a victim surcharge, and HST also applied to the fine, bringing the total to $28,872.50. Last Friday, a gentleman, and I use the term very loosely, from Coxheath, Nova Scotia, arrived at the Department of Natural Resources office just outside Sydney and declared he would be walking into the woods nearby. He recorded audio and video of his encounter and posted it on his Facebook page, because I'll be famous yet, god damn it. That's the priority. Social media content, clicks. Becoming a star in that world. Ugh. Quote, I want to challenge this order in court, and the only way for me to do that is to get the fine. I'm not trying to make trouble for you guys, he told the official. Bullshit. I'm ordering you to not, the worker replied. Does someone want to follow me out there? Asked the gentleman. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. He was later seen walking into dense woods before heading back into the office and was then handed a summary offense ticket. The gentleman, and this really burns my ass, is a retired veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces who should know better given his training, who should know about teamwork and everybody working together for a common goal, should understand the concept of personal sacrifice in order to keep people safe. Oh, yes. And did we forget to mention also someone who ran as a candidate for the People's Party of Canada in the April federal election? Right? So, yeah, there's a reason he had to film it and post it to his Facebook page too, as he's making this point, right? Because he could have just gone in there and walked in and got the fine. In fact, but no, he had to film himself doing it so he can get the engagement and the clicks and elevate his name. Because it's not only about the point. If it was only about the point, he would do it and try to bring as little attention to himself as possible. Not about that. That auditioning. that auditioning for the latest episode of Canadian Conservative Idol, Canadian Anti-Government Idol, Canadian Freedom Idol. Someone wants to be the next Chris Barber or next Tamara Litch. Stop. So they film it and post it. Veteran, former candidate for office, should know better. There's no excuse. None whatsoever. He argues the ban is too restrictive and an example of government overreach. Quote, "There's no logical connection to the goal of preventing wildfires to barring my sneakers from the woods," said he in an interview at Petersfield Provincial Park where he regularly walks his dog. Quote, "It goes too far." And again, he unilaterally, without all the information and the data and whatnot, and the maps, that all the people that we pay lots of money to figure this out for us, he alone has determined it is too restricted. He has determined that since his sneakers personally have no connection with setting wildfires, the sneakers of absolutely everybody else can't possibly have any connection to starting wildfires because his personal experience is all of human experience, because the way he believes that he behaves in the woods is the way he believes everybody else. We don't need rules just in case. That's overreach. Even though we have mandated seatbelts just in case. We have DUI rules just in case. We have building code rules just in case. Because accidents are called accidents because nobody plans for them to happen. And that all the bad things that happen would happen are things that happen to other people. Can't possibly happen to him. No possibility of an experienced hiker whatsoever rolling their ankle or breaking their foot or breaking a leg while on a hike, right? Because, and again, kids and cubs, you're looking at someone who just 2 months ago or 3 months ago now broke his foot playing tag with kids at his birthday party. You think I planned on that? Do you think I ran recklessly? Accidents happen. Right? So imagine, if you will, different story. Right? He wasn't just walking in, hey, I'm gonna go into the woods now. Anybody gonna follow me? Here's some pictures of me doing it. Rescue now. Right? Let's say he was one of those people who decided, fuck it, I'm just going for a hike anyway. Didn't announce it. Walked in the woods. Whoops. Rolls his ankle. Whoops. Wildfire starts. Oh my God, it grows really quickly. Hey, we've got some people in the woods here. Oh yeah, but we're looking at all these, man. We can't send anybody to go get him. The veteran died of smoke inhalation. Autopsy report found that he had freshly rolled his ankle, broken his foot, broken his leg, and could not escape the fire. He is survived by That's why we're telling you not to go into the woods. Accidents happen. Fires start at any time. Though you might not be smoking a cigarette, that doesn't mean that everybody else walking in the woods is not smoking a cigarette. Just because you are careful doesn't mean that everyone else is careful. And I've seen other things too. People need to go into the woods like they need food and water. No, they do not. No, they do not. I understand that there are people for whom their lives in the woods and whatnot is all great and everything like that. But if you go 7 days without walking in the woods and stuff like that, yes, okay, there could be some impacts on your mental health and all that kind of stuff. It's good for you, but you will not die if you don't eat food or drink water for that certain amount of days. The impacts are going to be way more devastating. Not the same. They're not equivalent. There's a difference between want and need. They're two very specific words. While some people may need to go walk in the woods because that's what life is, nobody needs. Not essential to survival in the way that food and water is. Of course, this isn't the first time this person has legally challenged a ban on entering the woods. In fact, it was the outcome of that case that led this one to purposely violate the restrictions this time around. A similar ban was put in place in May 2023 as two major wildfires burned in Halifax and Shelburne counties, destroying hundreds of homes and forcing the evacuations of thousands of people. About 2 weeks after the ban was lifted, this person filed an application for judicial review of the Natural Resources Minister's proclamation, arguing his rights were infringed since the two wildfires did not impact his Cape Breton community. He also argued the province-wide ban was put in place arbitrarily. In a decision dated January 22, 2024, Nova Scotia Supreme Court Justice Jamie Campbell ruled this person did not have standing, meaning he did not have a legal basis to bring the case to court, given there were no charges or fines against him. Campbell noted that this person was seeking a declaration saying that the minister's decision was unreasonable and beyond the authority granted under the Forests Act. Quote, but the proclamation issued by the minister has been revoked. The court cannot declare something invalid that is no longer enforced, Campbell wrote. He ruled the application therefore could not proceed. The veteran said he believes the court has no choice this time around but to examine the legality of the restrictions and whether they are constitutional. So this guy, back in 2023, didn't like the orders that were put into place because my rights, and decided to challenge them in court. It was declared he had no standing, number one, and then by the time it came to the court, the order was revoked, so the issue was moot. There was no reason to take it to court and to have a decision on that. And despite the fact that he has recently seen all the destruction that happened in those two communities in that time, in Halifax and in Shelburne County, decided that this time, in order to have his moment in court and have his legal case to be able to challenge the overreach, is that he would go into the woods during the time that there was fires, film himself doing it, get the fine, so now that he could have standing to charge. This is a personal vanity crusade here. This is a personal vanity crusade. He was just waiting for the next wildfire season to be able to do this. This is premeditated and planned. This is someone who should know better. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So he says he believes the court has no choice this time but to examine the legality of the restrictions and whether they are constitutional. They are. They are. Everybody who knows anything about the Constitution knows about Section 1, and Section 1 allows for restrictions on rights. Reasonable restrictions. Keeping people safe during wildfires is a reasonable restriction. Everybody knows the power of fire. Well, everybody, I think we hope, knows the power of fire. Apparently this guy does not. Toronto lawyer Marty Moore will help represent this guy. Moore leads the team of lawyers at Charter Advocates Canada, which is funded, of course, by the Justice Centre for Constitutional Freedoms, because, of course, they're involved in there. Because that's an organization that exists for the sole purpose of challenging everything. Government. That's also the organization that had those two lawyers that decided to tail that justice in Manitoba during COVID. Real stand-up organization. Of course they're all over this. So, PPC veteran guy tries to do this last time, doesn't get a chance to do it. Next fire season comes around, goes ahead, gets the fine. Toronto Sun, National Post, all of those make a big story out of him, because this is how it works in 2025, kids. If you want to become a star in the conservative circles, right? Wait for a natural disaster. Go someplace you're not fucking supposed to be. Or do things that will hinder, like fly a drone or decide to ride your boat on the water as there are water skimmers trying to grab the water to go and put out the fire. But do that because you have freedoms and you don't have to care about anybody else, or so you think. Yes. Then run to the press, the conservative-dominated press, so that they can make you a martyr and a star. Then get Rebel or something like that involved in that, so that you have some fundraising thing like this. Call the JCCF, which is always willing to take these types of cases, and then run around for months and months and months as this is going through the court system, declaring yourself some type of victim or freedom fighter. Maybe start a podcast after that, right? Get some fans. Get those donations coming. The grift is on. The grift is on. This is now a playbook on how to become famous in that circle. And this guy here is following it to a T. Moore said there are a few avenues they may take, including an application for judicial review. The team is reviewing the case and will decide how to proceed in the coming days and weeks. Quote, it's an arbitrary restriction. Yes, because you've decided it's arbitrary. Because you don't like it. It's not arbitrary just because you don't like it. It's not rationally connected to stopping forest fires by preventing people from doing activities that have nothing to do with the creation of forest fires. It's not only about creating forest fires. It's about not having people to go and rescue to divert resources. Dumbasses. Quote, you can't cause a forest fire simply by walking through the forest. And in fact, you might be in a position to prevent a forest fire by reporting an early combustion, or even reporting, oh, that's trying to turn this into a virtue now, or even reporting someone who's intentionally going out into the woods to set a forest fire. Unbelievable. Yeah, you may not be able to cause a forest fire by simply walking through the forest. Yes, but as I mentioned earlier, if you are walking through the forest, going through a hike, and then you break something, and there is a fire that breaks out, and all of a sudden people are going to save you, like this, you can't cause a situation where not only you lose your life, but you cause other people to lose theirs, trying to save you. But now, I'm just walking. It's just me, and I'm just walking, and I'm not doing anything wrong, so this is not acceptable. This thing you're doing to keep everybody else safe is not acceptable, because the only things that we need to consider is things in this very, very, very narrow scope, detached from everything else that is present in observable reality, detached from all possible other consequences, detached from the possibility of accidents. Detached. Let's just look at this one specific activity by this one specific person in a vacuum, like it could have no other consequences whatsoever. Nothing else could happen. They have to limit it to something that narrow to even be able to make a case, because it is so ridiculous on its face. There is no case here. But God damn it, they're going to try. Unbelievable. Moore said he believes this veteran now does have standing for judicial review in this case, given he was issued a summary offense and ticket and fine. Nova Scotia Premier Tim Hutons. Oh, hi. The orders, kids and cubs. So, yes, he has been issued a summary offense ticket and fine. So now we, according to the lawyers at the JCCF, will have the standing required to be able to challenge this court, they assume. Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston had said that the ban was put in place following recommendations from experts. Quote, so the experts gave the advice. I agreed with it. I'm happy to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect people, to protect property, and try to just get through this fire season. In a statement Tuesday, the Department of Natural Resources said the decision was not made lightly. It said the current conditions are extremely dangerous. Quote, we're asking all Nova Scotians to take seriously the precautionary measures we've put in place. Our teams and experts analyze data on a daily basis to make the best decisions for the protection of Nova Scotians and their homes and communities. We have seen widespread support from across multiple business sectors and from Nova Scotians who want to do the right thing, which is the literal opposite of arbitrary, which this one person claims these rules are. Ken McMullen, president of the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs, said such bans are imposed for a reason and it's better to err on the side of caution. Quote, I know that this may appear inconvenient. I understand that it might be seen over the top. The reality is desperate times may call for desperate measures, says McMullen, who's the fire chief for the city of Red Deer in Alberta. Scott Tingley, manager of forest protection with Nova Scotia's Department of Natural Resources, has repeatedly noted that the vast majority of the province's forest fires, 97%, are caused by humans. Newfoundland and Labrador, where multiple wildfires are burning, has vowed to impose lofty fines on people who violate its fire ban. Fines now range from $50,000 to $150,000, as well as up to a year in prison. New Brunswickers are being asked to stay out of the woods, and the province has banned all access to Crown land as crews battle 10 active wildfires, including 2 major ones, but it has not imposed a hefty fine. So that's what I've got there. I am not going to go into the Toronto Sun articles or National Post because I'm sure them have more, or some of them have more information on this particular veteran and their personal crusade. And I am particularly disinterested in that, and I am unmoved. It might be harsh on my part, I will readily admit, but I am unmoved by this person's plight, or what they claim is their plight. This is an issue nobody asked him to take on. Nobody. This is attention seeking. So this is not based on a point of principle in any way, shape, or form. They can claim it is. They can have that fake leaf, but it's not. It absolutely is not. So, yeah, you have the fine. Sucks to be you. You are also going to make us spend a whole bunch of money to have these court proceedings as well, just so that you can again have your vanity project for clicks and all that kind of stuff. I sincerely hope you lose the case, and I sincerely hope that you are charged costs. But then again, because there's this whole system of martyrdom that's supported by sycophantic and complicit media and organizations, there's no cost to the people who want to do this other than the time, right? Because somebody does this and then they get the media attention and then they start some type of crowdsourced fundraising to help cover the fine, and then legal services come in, and then there's more crowdsourcing to raise the funds to fight tyranny. And you know what they say about fools and their money. So there always seems to be people willing to donate to these particular types of crusades. So the people who do this suffer no personal real consequence of their own. They do this, these ploys for attention, and then they have it funded after the fact by the people to whom they want to be stars. we seriously need, and I don't know how we managed to do this, I can't report to have the answers, but some type of legislation that that prohibits this. And I don't know how you do that in such a way that singles out these types of frivolous and vexatious crusades versus actually legitimate ones. I'm not a legal mind. Maybe it's not even possible. Maybe there is no way to do one without hurting the other. And then we just have to endure this. But yes, we're in 2025, and that's how it works now. Let's look at a public safety situation like a pandemic or forest fire, things like that. Have governments impose some type of restriction for better safety. Declare it overreach. Declare yourself a freedom fighter. Do something stupid in order to get yourself fined or charged. Run to the press. Get the coverage. Have them declare you a martyr. Start a GoFundMe. Get all the usual suspects, the rebels and JCCF and all of those, to get behind your cause. Get lots of press. Fundraise off that. Lose your case. Eventually. Use the fact that you lost your case to cry deep state. And hopefully, if you have PR and media savvy beyond that, then maybe you can spin that into some type of career where people actually send you money for the rest of your life to just keep what you're doing and live off them. That seems to be the new way these days. I don't know if there's a way to stop that, but it's pretty darn disgusting as far as I'm concerned, and I have absolutely no respect for people who will do this. I have none. I have none. I have no words for this. But yeah, so we'll see what's there. Of course, the JCCF, which is in on this, already has press releases and stuff like that that it is issuing, stating, that we need to fight these blanket bans, that they're unreasonable and all of that kind of stuff. They have the particular words that they like to use here. Says here on the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. Yeah, cite that the veteran in this case sees the order as, quote, Orwellian. Not sure you know what that word actually means. And I have a feeling you haven't read the book. Punishing ordinary people rather than targeting the actions most likely to cause fires. It's about human dignity, he said, arguing that banning citizens from enjoying nature on the assumption they could start a fire is unconstitutional. It's about the activities. It's not about the people who do the activities, because the activity alone causes a fire. Yes, because barbecues just march themselves into the forest and light themselves up. Right? It's all those chipmunks making the bonfires. Right? Not humans. The concept of, if there are no humans present, there's no possibility for accidents. That doesn't register. Me just being there doesn't cause a fire. So why can't I be there? Reasons. There are many reasons. Just unbelievable. So yeah, as the constitutional lawyer here, Marty Moore says, this law views people as the problem, not dangerous activities. You can't separate the activities from the people. This law is anti-human, and should someone find themselves on the wrong end of a charge, a massive charge, $25,000 fine for going into the woods, you can expect a constitutional challenge and a judicial review of this order. Premier Houston would be wise to immediately review his overly broad order to avoid further legal action. He added, oh yes, I'm sure Mr. Houston is trembling in fear of legal action from the JCCF. These people have a heightened, very elevated and heightened sense of self-importance, unfortunately. And it looks like we are going to get rain, because I just heard thunder outside, kids and cubs. I just heard thunder. Yay! Oh my God. So yeah, this and the JCCF has also been issuing some warnings to the government of New Brunswick as well, because it too has issued some bans. So yeah, and the JCCF is no different in that sense than this particular veteran. As an organization, it is seeking to raise its profile. It is seeking to increase donations to itself as well. So there's it's a little symbiotic relationship here between both. That challenging these cases is in the financial and PR benefit of both parties. So it's not an accident that they've found each other here. The GCCF also issued, when I talked about New Brunswick, Premier of New Brunswick Susan Holt and Minister of Natural Resources and Energy Development John Herron have been warned that their extreme province-wide ban on public access to Crown land could be challenged in court. Again, I'm sure they're trembling. Constitutional lawyer Alison Pejovic states that these sweeping restrictions violate Canadians' right to liberty protected by Section 7 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Ms. Pejovic remarks that treating people as the problem rather than targeting actions that actually create fire risks shows serious and concerning disregard for human rights and individual liberty. Read the full story here. Click on this. Donate here. Ugh. God, wherever there is potential tragedy, there is also a grift. Oh my God. Okay, it is now raining cats and dogs. It just the sky is just open, and it is just falling. There's like literally ropes of rain falling down. It's like hitting the rooftops and splashing up, and like almost like a cloud of rain happening. Wow, that happened really quickly, but I'm not complaining. Not complaining. Hopefully, this rain travels east to the Atlantic provinces, because even though we really do need it, and we do, they need it even more. So hopefully there's rain coming your way out east. I'm happy to announce that there's some here, and hopefully it will get to you. And of course, if you're living in Ontario, we haven't talked about it, but there's some fires in the Kawartha Lakes region as well. So it's not we're not immune, but it's just right now the focus here at the moment seems to be Atlantic Canada. So yeah, not impressed with these people, unfortunately. So it's hot. Fires are starting. Some people are getting hot under the collar because rights are being reasonably curtailed, and then they're trying to create some heat with court cases. Again, diverting attention and resources, costing all of us money. Because on cases, they are going to lose. They are going to lose. Because they might be given a Pyrrhic victory on a small technical point here or there, but overall, they are going to lose. There's no doubt about that. because there's no judge in this country that is going to determine that a province is being unreasonable by removing humans from the equation, considering the number of fires that are human caused, both intentionally and accidentally. Accidents are not something that just happen to other people. Unbelievable. And all of this, of course, is in the context here, where the wildfire season, the current one that we're in, is being considered the second worst on record, according to Alexandra May Jones of CBC. This year's wildfire season is already the second worst on record in Canada, and experts are warning that this might be the new normal. More than 7.3 million hectares have burned this year so far, more than double the 10-year average for this time of year, according to the latest figures from the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre, or the CIFFC, and Natural Resources Canada. Quote, "It's the size of New Brunswick, to put it into context," Mike Flanagan, a professor of wildland fire at Thompson Rivers University, told CBC News. The last 3 fire seasons are among the 10 worst on record, according to a federal database dating back to 1972, with 2023's devastating blazes taking the top spot. "I've never seen 3 bad fire seasons in a row," Flanagan, who has been studying fires since the 70s, said. "I've seen 2 in a row, 94-95. I've never seen 3. This is scary." Manitoba and Saskatchewan count for more than half the area burned so far, but British Columbia, Alberta, and Ontario are also well above their 25-year averages. Fire bans have been announced in multiple provinces, including a total ban going on in the woods in Nova Scotia. Meanwhile, the military and Coast Guard were called in to help fight fires in Newfoundland and Labrador this week. Around 1,400 international firefighters have also helped fight Canadian fires so far this year, according to the CIFFC. Scientists say that climate change driven by the burning of fossil fuels has created longer fire seasons and drier landscapes, sparking more intense and widespread forest fires. "I used to say some years are cooler and wetter and we will get quiet years," Flanagan said, "but maybe every year is going to be a bad fire year now." Dry conditions across the country have allowed fires to quickly balloon this fire season. Quote, "The forests of Canada are too dry and too hot," Environment Canada climatologist David Phillips told CBC News. "This year, there's no kind of reprieve from what we've seen. This year has seen notable blazes in regions where we haven't historically, such as Newfoundland and Labrador, where one fire has grown to over 5,200 hectares. Yann Boulanger, a researcher scientist in forest ecology at Natural Resources Canada, says Newfoundland is not used to seeing huge fires. But we will have to get more and more used to it because those ecosystems are also projected to see an increased fire activity in the upcoming decades." The other outlier is Quebec, which was one of the hardest hit provinces in 2023 when an estimated 4.5 million hectares burned. This year, the province has had a much milder fire season thanks to frequent precipitation in the spring and early summer. Boulanger says, but a sudden bout of dry conditions in August, usually a quiet fire month for the province, has experts recommending vigilance. Bad back-to-back fire seasons can have huge consequences. Fire is a natural part of the life cycle for many tree species, but a forest can become damaged to the point where the trees cannot regrow in the area for years or even decades. It's called regeneration failure. Quote, "The problem is when we have too much fire and we are getting out of what we are calling the natural variability of the system," Boulanger said. "When such things happen, the forest can lose its resilience. Scientists are already seeing it in regions of Quebec that were heavily damaged in 2023 and in parts of Northwest Territories and Alberta," Boulanger says. "Right now, around 300,000 to 400,000 hectares are affected by regeneration failure in Quebec. Fewer trees means less carbon being stored, exacerbating the problem of increased emissions that occurred during widespread forest fires. The 2023 fires produced nearly a quarter of the year's global wildfire carbon emissions. Meanwhile, wildfire smoke has been limited to a myriad of health complications, including a higher risk of dementia. With intense wildfires becoming an annual problem in Canada on a new scale, we need more strategies," experts say. The Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs, the CAFC, has called on Ottawa to establish a national forest fire coordination agency to ensure that personnel and equipment can be distributed across the country when different regions are seeing heavy fires, and that fire chiefs are at the table when national policies are made. The government has been studying the possibility of creating a national disaster response agency since 2023 and met with the CAFC to discuss it in December. But it's time to move beyond the planning stage, according to Ken McMullen, the organization's president and fire chief in Red Deer, Alberta. Quote, all parties are saying they think it's a good idea. The reality is nobody's helped pick up the ball and get it across the finish line, he said. Flanagan at Thompson Rivers University supports the idea, but believes we need to go further and create a robust national emergency management agency that would be able to provide training for fighting wildfires, forecast where fires are likely to occur and whether they're a danger, and then move resources there proactively. Quote, yes, it's going to cost money, but if it prevents one Jasper, one Fort McMurray, it pays for itself, he said, referring to the Alberta communities ravaged in recent years by fires. The status quo doesn't seem to be working. We're spending billions and billions of dollars on fire management expenditures, but our area burn has quadrupled since the 1970s. So basically, we're getting very little reward for the money that we're putting in at this moment. And maybe we need to do things different. Maybe. Something we should talk about. I know that at the last G7 meeting in Kananaskis, there was an international coordination effort, an international effort to bring coordination for wildfires in terms of getting resources from different countries in. Because the north and south, we have different firefighter seasons, so we're able to help. In those cases, that's why we often have firefighters from South Africa and Australia coming to Canada during our fire season, and then we end up going there during theirs. But nationally, and there has been talk about this as well among the premiers of having some type of better response mechanism here in Canada. If this is the new normal, then yes, we need to establish these systems. But yeah, indeed, very frightening situation going on, and we are going to need to adapt. And just like that, kids and cubs, the rain has stopped. It was just a big cloud burst. So unfortunately, insufficient rain to do what we need. Sadly enough, hopefully there will be more. But it was nice to see some rain. So there we go, kids and cubs. Please obey the rules. Please, if you're in an area that's affected by fires, have your evacuation kits ready. Please do not go take walks in the woods just to prove a point. Please do not fly drones where there are wildfire fighting efforts going on. Please do not be boating on lakes where water skimmers might be coming in to grab water to help fight fires. Please don't do stupid stuff. Don't get in the way. All right? There's a lot of people who are doing jobs that none of us would want to do or even consider doing. Do not get in the way of people who run towards the danger to keep us safe. All right? Please, a little bit of team spirit here. All right, kids and cubs, before we go, there is some by-election news for you. As you know, kids and cubs, the by-election coming up on Monday, the 18th, in Battle River Crowfoot. It's getting close. We hope that you enjoyed our content from yesterday and the day before, our interviews with independent candidates Sarah Spanier and the return of Buddy. Yes, we had her for a short time, but hopefully we were able to maximize that time and get some information. So hopefully you are now up to date with how things are playing on the ground, how it is that Pierre has run his campaign a little bit, the disregard he seems to have for people, given his behavior at these candidate forums. Him not showing up for one of them in particular was interesting. Apparently, there was a town hall that he did show up to. Certain things he's showing up to, other things he is not. We'll see what happens. He's out there. I saw clips of him claiming that he loves the people of Battle River Crowfoot. I'm not sure exactly how that happened, given that he tried to spend as little time there as possible and didn't seem to have much to say about the area for all the time he's allegedly spent there. But apparently he loves the people of Battle River Crowfoot. He's claiming. Sir. But okay, let him say what he says. The advanced polling in Battle River Crowfoot, advanced voting is taking place, and that will be in effect until Monday, and I think until Monday. Yep, and then we'll have to be a by-election day on the 18th itself. So again, please get some cubs. If you are in the area, go cast your ballots, make your plan to vote, all that good stuff. But yes, very, very important. There is also a by-election that has been announced in Manitoba, provincial by-election for the riding of Spruce Woods. There are 3 candidates on the ballot at the moment, according to the Canadian press. It says 3 candidates are vying for a seat in Manitoba's legislature in the upcoming by-election in the Spruce Woods constituency. Elections Manitoba says Ray Berthellet is running for the governing NDP. Stephen Reed is carrying the Liberal banner, and Colleen Robbins is hoping to keep the seat blue for the Progressive Conservatives. Berthellet is a former real estate agent who recently worked as an executive assistant to Cabinet Minister Glenn Simard. Reed is a teacher, and Robbins is a longtime Tory volunteer. The August 26th by-election is being held to replace Grant Jackson, who resigned in March to run for federal office. The seat in Western Manitoba is a longtime Progressive Conservative stronghold, with the Tories capturing more than 60% of the vote there in 2023. So that has been announced. Again, the usual things: get to know your candidate. If there's one that you like, why not volunteer to help them, phone bank, knock on doors, that type of stuff. And of course, they will be needing people at the returning offices to help. So if you want to do that, I always recommend at least once in your life taking part in an election as part of the staff that is operating it, and so that you get to see how for yourself how people cherish democratic exercise. So there's an opportunity to do it here given a by-election. So if you can help, please do. And then we have some by-election results, kids and cubs. There were by-elections in Prince Edward Island, some provincial ones, and there the results were split, and one seat was flipped there. So that's interesting to know. The seats in the legislature were vacated by former Premier Dennis King and MLA Natalie Jameson. As we know, Dennis King decided to leave politics, and Mr. Lance is now the Premier and also the chair of the Council of Federation at the moment, taking over from Doug Ford. But Progressive Conservative Kent Dollar will represent PEI's District 15 in the legislature, and Liberal Carolyn Simpson will be the new MLA for District 9, CBC's decision desk has projected. Voters went to the polls Tuesday for by-elections in District 9, Charlottetown Hillsborough Park, which had 4,300 eligible voters, and District 15, Brackley Hunter River, which had 4,076. Unofficial results were posted on the elections PEI site just shy after 7:10 p.m. Atlantic time, including the counts from 3 days of advanced polling. By 8:05 p.m., Simpson had won District 9 with 979 votes over PC rival Dennis Jameson with 784. Rounding out the field were Green candidate Dr. Janine Karpakis with 231 and the NDP Simone Webster with 55. Voter turnout in the district was 47.8% with a total of 2,054 votes cast. 47.8% is pretty big for a by-election these days, I have to say. Dollar won District 15 with 1,140 votes compared to Green candidate Philip Hamming with 538, Liberal Nicole Ford in third place with 527, and provincial NDP leader Michelle Neal was in fourth with 63. District 15 voter turnout was 55.8% with a total of 2,274 votes cast. Final results will not change who governs Prince Edward Island, since the PCs will have a strong majority with 20 seats, down from 21 after the last general election, but one of the seats was flipped towards the Liberals. The Liberals formed the official opposition, although they had been tied with the Green Party of PEI at 3 seats. A Green gain would have let the party return as the official opposition, but that didn't happen. Brackley Hunter River was represented by former Premier Dennis King until he resigned as PC leader in February. He'd served as the district's MLA since 2019. Charlottetown Hillsborough Park was left vacant by the resignation of Natalie Jameson, the district's MLA since 2019, who later ran federally for the Conservatives. Elections PEI said more than 1,000 voters in each district cast ballots during advance polling, representing about a quarter of eligible electors. So that is in British Columbia. And then in the province of Quebec, there was also a by-election for the riding of Arthabaska. And there, the fight was between the Quebec Conservative Party and the Parti Québécois, the CAQ, which some aggregate polling has been showing that in the next election will emerge with 0 seats. I think now they're showing 1 from having an outright majority. That party is just completely imploded under the leadership of François Legault. People have found no love for it whatsoever anymore. But it was won by the Parti Québécois candidate. So, according to CBC News here, the Parti Québécois has won its 6th seat in the National Assembly after winning the Centre du Québec riding of Arthabaska in Monday's hotly contested by-election. PC candidate Alex Boissonneau won 46% of the vote, compared to about 35% for Éric Duhaime, who's the leader of the Conservative Party of Quebec, who once again fell short on winning a seat in the National Assembly. Packed into the Resto Pub de la Microbrasserie L'Ermite in Victoriaville, Quebec, Boissonneau told Radio-Canada it was an extraordinary campaign, sending a message to Quebec and the government. During his victory speech, he went on to express excitement for the upcoming 2026 general election. He described the Parti Québécois as a true party of change. He said the party plans on bringing that energy, quote, you've already come to know, to the next 14 months, vowing to defend the residents and interests of his riding. Quote, I will be on the ground with you. My door will be open, he said. My doors will be open because I will be the MNA of all citizens, no matter your politics. That's very important. The victory provides further momentum to the PQ heading into the final year of the Coalition Avenir Québec's second mandate. It also marks the 3rd consecutive time the Sovereigntist Party has wrestled away a riding from the Coalition Avenir Québec in a by-election. The Liberals' Chantal Marchand came in 3rd on Monday, securing about 9% of the vote. CAQ candidate Kevin Brasseur finished in 4th place, taking around 7% of the vote, a fraction of the 51% of the vote share it received in 2022 in that riding. The party has held the riding since 2012. Boissonneau stayed well ahead of Duhaime throughout the night, and Brasseur conceded early in the evening. All Smiles PQ leader Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon told the crowd his party will continue working to protect Quebec's culture and language. Quote, we are aware of the particularities of each region, he said, explaining his party's aims to defend everybody from across the province. Québec Solidaire's Pascal Fortin received less than 1.5% of the vote. The Arthabaska by-election was triggered in March when CAQ MNA Éric Lefebvre left provincial politics. He has since won the federal seat of Richmond Arthabaska for the Conservative Party of Canada. So here at Kids and Cubs, it's not because the constituents had a problem with their representative, because the representative, who was a CAQ member, abandoned his seat to run in the federal election for the Conservatives and won. So they liked Mr. Lefebvre, but they don't like the CAQ, and Monsieur Lefebvre saw an opportunity to jump ship for federal waters, and opportunistically, of course, but it worked out for him. And now we've had the federal by-election, and the CAQ loses yet another seat to the Parti Québécois. So there you go. In March, the PQ won the Terrebonne by-election months after the CAQ minister Pierre Fitzgibbon quit politics. In October 23, the PQ also took the Quebec City riding of Jean Talon. The next provincial election will be held on October 5th, 2026. Premier François Legault spoke alongside his candidate, noting his party's results in the riding fell well below the strong majority achieved in previous elections. Quote, the fall in 3 years is exceptional, he said, adding the CAQ obtained around 51% of the vote in 2022. Quote, Quebecers are disappointed with our government, he said, citing issues like Northvolt, SAQ Click, and the state of public research services. Legault, however, also said he committed to changing things. Quote, we will look at ourselves in the mirror, he said. I will fight. Duham, for his part, said a perfect campaign doesn't exist, but his was the most positive. He said he wanted different results, but it was a strong effort. Quote, we've progressed over the years, and we will continue to progress in the years to come, he said. I would like to thank the voters of the riding of Athabasca. While his party is still not in the National Assembly, he vowed to continue pushing for change from outside as they look forward to the 2026 battle. In 2022, Duham attempted to win a seat in the Quebec City area riding of Chauveau. He finished second with just under 32% of the vote. The Athabasca riding is known for having voter turnouts that are higher than the rest of the province. In 2022 Quebec election, the voter turnout in the province was 66%. In Athabasca, it was 74%. The voter turnout in Monday's by-election was initially reported as being 61.7%. That has been since revised and it now sits at 59.9%. So there you have it, kids. That's all the information I have about by-elections, either that have recently transpired or have recently been called, or in which people are currently casting ballots in advance voting, and with the election day coming. It's a very exciting time in Canada for by-elections. But there you go. Democracy keeps on happening on a daily basis in ways big and small throughout the country from coast to coast to coast. All right, kids and cubs, it's near the end of the show, but since I didn't have time to do a little bit of a magic monitor, hopefully, kids and cubs, I will have a little opportunity to say hello to some people here as we are closing out the show. Because I always like to say hello and good morning to all of you. But kids and cubs, that is the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show with a big gap somewhere in the middle. We hope that you enjoyed listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do, especially when you leave a little word of your own there, letting people know how much you enjoy the content and how it resonates with you. Thank you so much for that. Because kids cubs, sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. There we go, and now it is back. If you would like us to help you, because you are on the go, kids and cubs, doing things, living life, participating in democracy, making things happen. And sometimes you don't have time to watch us live. Well, we are portable, thanks to the generous contribution of the Ray Girl. And if you scan this QR code that's just about to appear, that will bring you to our pod page. If you're listening, that's podpage.com/the truenortheagerbeaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And if you go there and click subscribe, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth in podcast format, ears only, zip, comes right directly to your podcast feed. Then you can put us in your ears and take us with you because we are portable, kids and cubs. We like to help. That way you can stay abreast of what's going on in the country and do everything you need to do to get through your day. We like to make it easy. We like to help. Kids and cubs, if you would like to help us, well, hey, we can do that. We can give you some suggestions. How about heed the call of Kits Cassie and Kits Elaine, who beckon you to surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page where we have some buttons for you. Like, share, and subscribe. Please give them a little click. It makes us very happy when you do, and it helps us with the algorithm. So thank you so very much. And I see there in the chat, Kit Elaine is indeed there. And it's so nice to see you. I also see Kit Peachyland. Hello. I think that's a new name for me. I might be wrong there. Kit Bucky is there as well, as is Kit Saucy, saying hello. So thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. I also see Kit Kat W in the chat, Carol, Kit Linda M as well. Nona Carol, I should say. Pardon me for not having stated that. And I also see Kit Sharon in there. Hopefully there are more of you, but that's what I see for now right there. Kids and Cubs, if you would like to help us in other ways, we do incur some costs to bring this show to you. And if you would like to help us with those, we would be very grateful for your enthusiastic expressions of encouragement in the form of a donation to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, where every day we work very hard to fight the scourge that is dry beaver. So if you would like to keep your favorite beaver moist, because a moist beaver is a happy beaver after all, well, a little donation to the Emergency Lodge Hydration Fund does us a world of good, kids and cubs. It helps us take care of all the costs of the show, and we very much appreciate your assistance. So thank you so much. And remember, kids and cubs, if you're not able to donate financially, don't worry about that, because the gifts of your attention, participation are the ones that matter the most to us. And we'd like to hear from you, so please write to us at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. That is our email address, where you can send us your thoughts about the show, some constructive criticism, some compliments, some feedback as to suggestions for guests. All of that, we really care about what you have to say. So please write to us and talk to us. Let us know what you think and let us know what you want. We're here to help with that as well. If we can, we will. And of course, kids and cubs, if you are doing the Buy Canadian thing and you do want to support the show, that email address, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, is the one to which you can send a direct transfer from your bank to ours. The transaction is 100% Canadian, so that's a good thing. You bypass the US CE Tech Bros and don't make them richer. That's another good thing. And we get 100% of your donation, which is another good thing. Win, win, win. So thank you so much for all of your support. We really do appreciate it. And all of your comments and donations go back into the show in order to make it better for you. And we really appreciate everything that you do for us, kids and cubs. Thank you. Very, very, very grateful. Now, if you want to reach us through our socials, at True Eager, at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge, also kids and cubs, on the Jitter, True North Eager Beaver at Facebook is our original home on the web. And of course, if you happen to be watching on our YouTube channel, either live with the DAMFAM or at your own convenience, right down here in the comment section, leave us a little something. We read everything you write, even though we're not able to get back to everyone. And we thank you for taking the time. It means the world to us when you interact with us. So thank you, kids and cubs. Because democracy is something that you do, kids and cubs, do remember, again, all these by-elections that I mentioned, the ones coming up. If you voted in the ones in Athabasca and in Prince Edward Island, congratulations to you for doing democracy. Take a day off. Please do. If not, kids and cubs, if you're in the Alberta area, please do make sure that you have your plan to vote in Battle River Crowfoot. And again, as we mentioned here in Manitoba for that provincial by-election that's coming up, do what you need to do to find out about your candidates and volunteer if you can. Also, kids and cubs, if you are in Alberta, the Forever Canadian effort is still going on, still seeing posts and tweets by Thomas Lukasik stating that things are going very well and that he is thrilled and energized by the number of people who are showing up, but he still does need more help. So forever-canadian.ca is the website to which you can go to either pledge donation, pledge to sign the petition, pledge to volunteer in certain ways, state that you would like to be a canvasser so that you can collect some signatures. Over 290,000 are needed, and probably much more than that, because as we keep on telling you on the show, you know that Danielle Smith will do anything that she can to try to invalidate as many of them as possible, because even though she says she supports a united Canada, a sovereign Alberta and united Canada, as if that's a thing, she really is bending over backwards like a Cirque du Soleil contortionist to make it very easy for people who would like to break up the country. So trust what she does, not what she says, and you know she's going to do whatever she can to try to invalidate as many signatures as possible. So as Canadians, particularly Albertans who are proud to be Canadians, you have to sign in numbers too great to manipulate. So please do your duty and do your best to try to keep Canada together and to get Mr. Lukasik's Citizens Initiative question on the ballot, one that asks about keeping Canada together rather than dividing it. Appreciate all of your help, kids and cubs. Very important. Words of wisdom, kids and cubs. As you know, not particularly strong on the wisdom. That's usually Mr. Grizzly's department. But I'm just gonna. Where's the wisdom? I'm just gonna go with what the show has been saying. Stay out of the woods if you're asked to. Don't fly drones during wildfires, particularly when there's response to try to help put them out. And don't go boating on waters in places where water is being collected to try to put out wildfires. Be a damn team player. It's not the time to make a point. All right. That's the best of my wisdom, kids and cubs. It could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourselves, kids and cubs. And now, if I may make a most humble request, at the count of 3, kids and cubs, could I please get you to say, Mr. Beaver, please cue the cock on 1, 2, 3. Ah, I love that. Ooh, you all came in hot with that one. Since you're bringing the heat, I gotta deliver the goods.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.
I was looking through the chat a little more there, kids. I saw Kit Swanky Frankie with us, Kit Tabby G, and Kit Christian. Thank you all for joining us as well. And by the way, kids and cubs, thank you all so much for your kind messages about Thursday again when I had to cancel the show to deal with it. And I saw all your messages, hoping that everything was all right. Everything indeed was. And seeing all that love and understanding from you really warmed my heart. Warmed the cockles right here. So I do appreciate all of you and your kindness. As I mentioned, everything is indeed good and everything's safe and all is well. All's well that ends well, as the bard would say. So all of your good wishes and all the good vibes were indeed useful. Of course, here, the boss, Alistair McBear, saying hello to you during the credits, said that did a good job today, despite this one being a very unique show in many ways. Interruption, people coming in to do some work, and with the sky changing again now. All the moment, if I'm looking at it now, the sky is nice and bright and clear all of a sudden. Well, I mean, still cloudy and whatnot, but we've had all types of weather and all types of activity, and we navigated it all to bring the show to you today. So thank you for your patience and understanding. That tomorrow we'll be back at the regular Beaver Lodge with all the regular equipment. We'll be able to bring you clips and stuff like that and have a whole other show for you rather than having to MacGyver it as we have been doing over the last little bit. But I definitely enjoyed having some vacation time. Hadn't had any since we started this initiative, really. So thank you for giving your favorite beaver a couple of days off. And we hope that you were happy with the content that we were able to provide for you during the time that I was away. But now I'm back, and we will see each other tomorrow. So, amour et bisous. Love you all very much, and we will see you soon. Have a beaverific day, everyone.